Now I want San Rocco project manager, my agent, my good friend, Megan Euker, to come up here because we have a presentation to make. I'll get it out. Say something.
So tonight we're presenting the 7th annual Orphan Dream Award. And for 7 years, we have been giving this award to people that have made a huge difference in rare disease research in the field, especially in the field of sickle cell and thalassemia. Previous recipients have been Dr. Franco Locatelli, Dr. Michel Sedelin, who is the inventor of our therapy, Dr. John Tisdale from the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Aurelio Maggio, who treated and continues to observe the patients that we did in clinical trials. We've had Dr. Lucio Luzzatto, who's a leading hematologist and was working in Tanzania, who's from Italy. And we had Professor Kevin Dever in the 6th year. And tonight, we are very,
You want to already say, wait, suspense. Come on with all of that.
I wasn't going to say it. I was just going to say tonight we're going to present the 7th award.
Okay. All right, but we have to talk about this award. So, it's early, Sam. So, this jacket is an original Versace jacket. In 2016, I got a call. I was in Chicago, and a friend of mine named Tracy Van Houten called me up and said, Pat, you got to come to our house. We have a Christmas gift for you. Now, Tracy Van Houten, his wife, had 2 children with Battens, and in 2016, June, Noah died. 14 years old. Of course, me, like any of you, I did everything that I could to help the family. And unfortunately, they had another daughter who was 12 years old at the time, who also had Battens. And so I went to their house. You know, you can imagine this is a family that lost a 14-year-old child and has a 12-year-old who can't breathe on her own, can't walk any longer in their living room. And all smiles and so giddy and happy to present me with this package. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, they just lost a fucking kid. I mean, how is anybody this strong? But, okay, Pat, open it. Okay, put it on. We know that you're going home to Italy and that you'll be doing concerts for Christmas. Please sing for Noah. What could I say? I told this story to Megan Euker, who I met December 18th or 19th on my way back to Italy. And I was with a very attractive attorney. She went to the washroom, and being the true Italian-American that I am, I looked to see if there was other prey in the room. Sure enough, there was this cute girl who I thought she must be a college student, but, you know, who knows? So I walked over, and this is all while my attorney's in the bathroom, by the way. Or she wasn't my attorney, but I was trying to get her to do some other things for me. So I said, yeah, young lady, what's going on with you, et cetera, you know? And she says, I thought she was a student. She goes, no, I'm a professor. Well, then she was 32 or something. How old? 32. Oh, you're a professor. Well, you know, she ain't bad on the ice. So I said to myself, well, okay, so I'm tell a little bit of a story. The New York Times article had just come out and all of that. And I told her the story about Noah and the jacket. Well, she went back to the Art Institute of Chicago where she was teaching, and she made a statue for the family of me, this ugly-looking Italian-looking guy with a big nose, And then she made another 90 statues. And tonight we are here to present this statue to Mr. Ronald Capano, my brother.
Thank you very much for this award. I really appreciate it. It's a beautiful statue. Pat and I have been together for 30 years. We met at a symposium. He says to me, I'm going to form a biotech company. I said, well, I'll create a charity, and we'll support the universities or whoever is going to do the research, and that's what we've been doing for 30 years. And at the time, children with thalassemia, unfortunately, didn't have long lives. But today, with all the work that has been ongoing, thanks to people like Pat and Megan, there's almost no limit to their lives. So I'm very grateful for God giving us the ability to be able to do these great things. So thank you very much. And hopefully our sons will be cured soon.
All right, so we'll continue. And, there's some of the most important people in the room here for gene therapy. Like I said, I've got Ken Sussman, my attorney here, who had to take a second mortgage out on his house while we were going through the trial. In the book, I said he quit about once a week. I don't think that's accurate. It's probably about once a month, twice a week. Yeah. So as you can imagine, I'm probably not a real easy client to deal with. Kevin has had some experience as well as Wanda and Lenore. And yeah. So, okay. I guess we're going to continue. And we're going to continue with Sweet Home Chicago. Of course, I'm a South Sider from Chicago, born and raised. And I love my city. I spend most of my time in Italy now, and then a little time in Tampa because that's where we moved the company to. But in my heart, and I tell my kids all the time, on the grave, just put down there he was a good shoeshine kid, because that's all I am deep down inside. Everybody knows I didn't graduate from high school, jack of all trades, master of none. Everything that I do, though, I do it with the spirit of trying to help somebody else out. And I think I've always been that my mother, is this woman. She claims she's 5 foot tall, but we all know she's like 4'10". And, she raised me with the saints and the church, and thank God she did. I mean, the stories are incredible, of course, and I don't want to bore you people. And by the way, I brought a couple of books, Flight of the Rondoni here. Anyone like a book? That's great. Take one. I'll sign it. If you feel you should pay for it, just write a check to Ron Capano's organization, which is the Cooley's Anemia International. And that's great. But my mother used to, go to church and pray to Father Carlo Fasso. Father Carlo, please take my son to the seminary. He's a good boy. He's a real good boy. He's misunderstood, but he's a good boy. And it's kind of like in the Bible where they talk about the old woman who wants revenge. She wants justice, and she begs the king, and finally the king says, oh, my God, please, somebody give her justice, give her whatever she wants. I can't listen to her. And I think that's how my mother was with Father Carlos. So after I got out of 8th grade, barely, I lived with 62 priests and brothers in a seminary, and how they put up with me for almost 2 years. And I'll never forget that Father Kurt called me right before Easter break, and I sat down and he said, you're not coming back after Easter. And he went through all the infractions and all of that. But I won't bore you all with all of that. Actually, Paul Cuschieri, the guy that did The Gangs, is now writing the screenplay for Flight of the Rondone. Guy Horse is now going to do 3 more of my books. They're already written with the screenplays. And you know what? It all goes to research in the end. You know what? What do you do with? I drive a 1996 Fiat convertible that 2 of my 3 sons will not get in. You know, they say, well, it's got mold on the seats because when it rains outside, it rains inside. You know, but what do you do with money other than help people? I mean, what's it about? So we're going to continue, and I don't want to bore you all, but I love you all very much. You're very important to me, and sometimes those nights when I didn't know if I was going to make it because I got a call from Ken. We had a bad day. We got a bad ruling. Maybe it's going to be over. Maybe it's not. And the prayers and the thoughtfulness and the concern that I knew that I had from across the globe, people in India, people in Africa, because, of course, we have patients everywhere. It's saved my life so many times. And that's why the book is called Flight of the Rondone, because the rondone is a bird that flies from Africa to Italy every year and lays its eggs. It travels about 140 miles an hour, up to 140 miles an hour. The problem with the rondone is that its wings are really long, and its legs, like mine, are very short. So if it lands on the ground by chance, it can't take off again. It always has to land 3, 4 stories in the air so it can throw itself into the wind and take off and start flapping. Well, we know in Altamura, my town, when we find the rondone that might have collided or maybe it's young on the ground, we pick it up, and we have to take it gently in our hands like this, And then we have to remain kind of kneeled because you don't want to thrust it too violently, but at the same time, you got to get it high or else it's not going to make it. And we just fling it into the air, and then watch it begin to flap its wings. So many of you have done that for me. And that's why I named the book, The Flight of the Rondone. So, in a small way, I'm the rondone. And I've been called the bird brain many times in my life, so I guess it fits that way as well.